Hey guys, I'm starting a new series called MNA where I'm going to talk about movies again, but this time you can actually suggest to me what film I'll talk about. This took a little too long to make for a video that's not very long. This is mostly because I was working on the massive Avatar video, so yeah, sorry for taking so long. I'll try to do these once a month if I can keep that schedule up. Make sure to comment films for me to watch and I'll cover them in the next episode of the series. If it's something I've already seen, I will also still review it regardless, and let's get into it. Okay, we're starting off with the Zodiac, given to me by Runis. I hope that's how you pronounce it. I actually haven't seen this film before, but I was planning on seeing it when The Killer came out last year, but I just never got around to it. The David Fincher films I have seen are Fight Club, Gone Girl, The Killer, The Social Network, and now Zodiac. I really like David Fincher. His movies are really good, and he's probably one of my favorite directors. It's not like it's the toughest competition though, since there's a lot of directors I haven't seen a ton of, but I am working on it. Anyway, Zodiac. I watched this like over the course of 5 days, so I probably didn't get the correct or full experience, so I will definitely rewatch this film in the future. This is a long movie, like it's really long, so I can't talk about everything here, but I do feel like the whole runtime felt very justified. There wasn't a lot of wasted time, but this could also be because I watched this over the course of 5 days, so if I watched it in one sitting, maybe it would have been worse, or better, I don't know. I just felt the pacing over this long film was handled really well, like it evolves and changes throughout the runtime, but in a way that never feels jarring. Several plot lines end during this film, but then the next plot line that follows it makes sense as a continuation. The writing in this film is also very good. It all feels supernatural and real, which makes the kill scene so much more brutal because it's shot and structured like a real event happening. At least most of the time. That opening scene doesn't really count. Like, Mr. Zodiac is a loose cannon, he'll just kill people randomly if he feels like it. So because of this, it causes a bunch of long, drawn-out kill scenes to leave you on edge. Like at the start, he swiftly kills someone, which is expected, but later on there's a scene where he goes on and on for so long, and it ends with the victim surviving the attack. So we didn't even really get to see him strike, it cuts before it even happens. For a story on the Zodiac Killer, David Fincher is like the perfect guy to direct this film, and he absolutely kills it. It's just as dark and gruesome as his other films, but this time it's actually needed to make the film work. The three main leads of this film are also very good too. I wasn't a huge fan of Robert Downey Jr.'s character and where they go with him, but I like Mr. Hulk guy, and Jake Gyllenhaal is definitely the best part of this film. He's the silliest guy ever, and I really like how he slowly loses his mind throughout this movie while trying to discover who the Zodiac is. Anyways, this was really great. Not his best for me, Fight Club and Gone Girl are better, but this is really great, and I'll probably rewatch it eventually, so I get the full experience, for better or for worse. So right now, I'm gonna give Zodiac a high 8 out of 10. Alright, Dudum gave me Godzilla 1954. This film was very good. I definitely prefer Shin Godzilla and -1 over this, but it's still a really cool film, and a seriously impressive feat for 1954. The way they showcase the destruction of the city through miniature sets is so seamless and really impressive for the time. I don't care about the human stuff as much, the ending is really good, but other than that, I didn't really care a ton about these characters. I much prefer whenever Godzilla's on screen. The general idea of him is super cool, and the slow build-up of him showing up is really great. It's just also so well shot, like there's some actually insane shots throughout this film. Plus it has a really dark and sad ending, which I did not expect. It's pretty crazy that the original Godzilla was so dark and very clearly made for adults, and now Godzilla is mostly seen by the general public as a kids type of media. So yeah, I'm giving this a high 7 out of 10. Alright, MCAT gave me What by Bo Burnham. So I saw Inside about 8 months ago, I think, and yeah, it's really great. I see why people love that movie so much. This and Inside are like polar opposites though, because this is actually meant to be funny. Like Inside is like this deeply depressing, borderline suicide note, but you know, this is just kind of a silly good time. Inside is objectively better, but entertainment wise I had a much better time with this. In Inside, all the songs were pre-recorded, so there wasn't anything, say, super impressive about that film, but this entire film is done in one take, which is insane. He doesn't slip up a single time. The whole special is seriously so impressive. He just switches back and forth constantly at this extreme fast pace. I think the music is pretty good. Inside has much better tracks, but the main standout here was From God's Perspective, Left and Right Brain, and my personal favorite was Repeat Stuff. I feel Repeat Stuff was the catchiest song and also the funniest, like that bit with him doing all the other songs are alright though. There's a lot of moments during this special where Bo has to pad out the runtime a bit by doing actual stand-up for like a minute, and they frankly aren't very good. Bo makes one too many gay jokes. You gotta calm down, man, you can't say that word. And he does repeat bits multiple times that don't work, but overall I still think the special is quite good. It's very clearly filled with a lot of passion and effort. Like, he had to memorize so much for this, and he had to be on time for every single gag. So yeah, overall, this was good, so I'm giving this a solid 7 out of 10. I got Donnie Darko from Green1122 on YouTube and on Letterboxd. So I don't think I've talked about Donnie Darko a lot on this channel, which is kind of crazy since this is probably the film I've been the most obsessed with ever. I think Donnie Darko is probably my favorite movie of all time, honestly. Whiplash is just objectively better. In fact, Donnie Darko is probably the most flawed movie out of my top 5 favorites, but it's the film I love the most. Maybe. Probably. I plan on doing a video on this movie at some point to compile literally all the info I know about this film, so I'll try not to go into a lot of detail. When watching this, I combined the director and theatrical cut together to make my take on the perfect version of this film. And yeah, it's pretty much perfect, but I don't think this really counts because I'm editing my own version of the movie, but you know, whatever. I did this because in my opinion, there are some elements in the director's cut that make Donnie Darko like 10 times better. In my opinion, Donnie Darko is a character growth film, and honestly, this isn't shown very well in the theatrical cut. He's kind of just going crazy, but in the director's cut, there are several scenes to show his progression to being a better person, and the film doesn't work nearly as well without it. However, the director's cut does have some extreme flops, like the philosophy of time travel book segments, which are very annoying. Besides that, my absolute biggest pet peeve of the director's cut has got to be the opening, so you know, I just spend the rest of the segment talking about it. In the original Donnie Darko, Killing Moon is literally the perfect way to open this film. The film literally has lines like "the killing time," which is Frank who literally kills time by time traveling. The entire song describes Donnie's fate as the killing moon or the end of the world approaches. It's actually perfect, but apparently Richard Kelly disagrees because they got rid of it in the director's cut and replaced it with a much more boring song with no layers whatsoever. I thought maybe it was because they didn't have the rights to the song, but nope, Killing Moon shows up later in the party scene, which kinda works, but it has nowhere near the impact of the original opening. Anyways, good movie, I like it a lot. Maybe I'll talk about it in more detail at a later date. Giving this a high 10 out of 10, no questions asked. Alright, just to wrap this up, I'm gonna do a brief ranking of these films. Number 4, Bo Burnham What?
Bo Burnham?
Number 3, Godzilla. Number 2, Zodiac. And of course, number 1, Donnie Darko. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Another reminder to put films in the comments and I'll talk about them in the next episode, and everyone in this video should be linked in the description. I don't expect this series to do as well as my other videos, but we shall see. Oh, and watch my Avatar video. I spent forever on that. Thanks for watching, and this is an epic outro.